look at this.
Set me free, why don't you, babe?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Artists on Lockdown. I am Ron Onesti from the Arcata Theater in St. Charles, Illinois, just outside of Chicago, hanging and banging with two legendary drummers, Carmine Appice from Vanilla Fudge, Rod Stewart Band, Jeff Beck, and Vinny Appice from Dio, Last in Line, of course, Black Sabbath. Our special guest tonight, man, oh man, how excited am I? And I know my brothers on here as well are equally excited. After 13 platinum albums, 150 million albums sold, he was behind the throne there at the throne, one of the most popular vocalists and bands in rock and roll history, the Billy Joel Band. Please welcome, with his new book coming out July 17th, Liberty, Life, Billy, and the Pursuit of Heaven. Please welcome Liberty DeVitto. Good to see you, buddy.
Great to be here. It's great to be anywhere with Carmine and Vinny. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on. All these legends. I tell you what, you're a Brooklyn guy. You're Italian. We're all Italian. This is an Italian festival here tonight. I'm loving it. But guys, I know you know Liberty a long time, and you call him Lib, but I'm sorry. It must be Liberatori or nothing at all.
It is. It's Liberatori. Yes.
I love it.
Is that like laboratory?
I used to get
I bet you a lot of nights it was.
a laboratory. Yeah, a laboratory. Where you going? Yeah.
So, Liv, so I want to. We got so much to talk about. You got your new book coming out July 17th. It's just I don't want to call it a tell-all, but man, oh man, it does tell all. And I'm very excited to talk about that, the history and everything. And I want to talk about, yeah, there it is. Oh my gosh.
You know,
I
collected a whole bunch of funny people and funny pictures. And like, that's one of them that's in the book.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You made it.
Wow.
You made it in the book.
I made it in the book.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
something
good.
though, guys, before we touch on the book, something I haven't asked the brothers this in our recent, and I've wanted to in our recent episodes. And I ask you, Lib, you guys are growing up Italian in Brooklyn. What was life growing up like? Did you guys grow up, quote unquote, Italian? Did you have pasta every Sunday, that kind of thing?
Well, you were
Sunday.
in the Bronx, right?
And Thursday.
Sunday and Thursday, pasta day.
Yeah.
And it always started out with like a pasta, and then a meat dish, and then salad, and then pastries, and then later on you eat the leftovers.
So you grew up.
We never had the meat dish unless you called the meatballs and the sausage
Meatball.
the meat dish.
And the neck
Meatball
bones.
sausage.
Yeah.
Don't forget the neck bones. Don't forget the neck bones.
Yeah.
We never had that. My
I'm
family
sorry.
didn't do that. It was always
Carmine
meatballs.
wouldn't eat. He wouldn't eat the neck bone.
No way.
Oh man, had them last night. I'll be honest with you. I'm not.
My mother used to use the pig's feet to start the lasagna sauce.
Yep.
Pork.
The flavor. So let's start at the beginning here. For 30 years, 1975, probably a little bit before Liberty, you were with obviously Billy Joel. You had a bunch of other things going on, and I know you got together, kind of with some mutual acquaintances, that kind of thing.
How we got together?
Yeah, with Billy.
Oh, well, I knew Billy when I played a place called the My House.
Yes, I know it well.
That's where I met Carmine. My life has been downhill since then. But I met Billy. He was in the Hassles. I was in the New Rock Workshop when Carmine was in the Vanilla Fudge. And me and Billy used to just pass each other in the night to say hi. That was it. So when it was time for him to move from California to New York, because he was living in California using a studio musicians, but he wanted to move back to New York and have the same musicians that recorded with him go on the road with him. He asked about a drummer, and my favorite bass player, Doug Stegmeyer, who played with Billy all the time, he recommended me. He said, "You know the guy," and he wanted a hard-hitting New York-style drummer. And Doug said, well, you know the guy. And he meant me, you know. He wanted a New York style drummer. And he knew that us guys, you know, like Carmine and Vinny and myself, hit hard and we're very aggressive. You know, it's really strange.
It's from the Meatballs.
That's right.
That's right. I played with Stevie Nicks for 6 months, and they're very California, you know, and the difference was so great. It wasn't until we played Saturday Night Live and Wizard, the bass player who played with Mother's Finest, he was standing there and he goes, wow, I finally know why you play like you do. Everybody's crazy around here and moves so fast and so aggressive at what they're doing. And that's the way we play.
California drummers use brushes for the most part.
That's right. and lots of padding.
Yeah. So you touched on,
I met Lib in 1966
come on.
at the New Rock Workshop.
Yeah.
At the club My House, and he was in New Rock Workshop.
It's in my book how I went to see Carmine the first time, and he scared the shit out of me. And I was frightened at the way he played. Yeah, it was so aggressive.
Wow. Did you know you were in Liberty's book?
I figured I'd be in there because I know the story. You know, Liberty always says, "Man, you changed my life, my drumming life, when I saw you play." And this has been going on since like 1967.
Yeah, before him it was Dino Danelli.
Yeah, Dino.
Miraculous.
He was aggressive, but then Carmine sat behind and that big bass drum. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was insane.
You know, each week I do this.
Huh?
Each week I do this, and I learn more. I thought I know everything about Carmine and Vinny, and every week I learn more and more just how iconic both of these guys are. It's just incredible.
Then you could write the book. You could write the book about.
I might. You guys have touched so many lives.
Recently, I saw a post that somebody posted about. There was a video of early Led Zeppelin, and it was like, that's really cool. And watching John Bonham, and I wrote underneath it, I said, we all know that Carmine told John Bonham to get the bigger drums, convince him to get the bigger drums. But if you listen to what Bonham is playing in the beginning of Led Zeppelin's career, it's all Carmine. It's
wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
So let me ask you, Liberty. So we're going to go down the career a little bit. I mean, obviously, 13 platinum albums. Do you remember the very first album that you worked on that went platinum, and what that road was like, what that journey was like? Did you see it happening?
The first album that went gold, our album Turnstiles went gold.
Turnstiles.
In Australia first. And you only had to sell 36,000 copies to go gold.
Wow.
So that was the first tour we went out of the States. We went to Australia, but we didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, we thought Kangaroos were going to do the sound. It was 1976 when we went there, but it was great. It was a wonderful experience.
And then the subsequent albums, the next 12 platinum albums, what did it get kind of like? I don't want to say mundane because I know there's a lot of excitement, but did it get to a point where it's almost expected? Like, here comes another one.
Yeah, it is. It does.
Yeah, well, Billy is under the gun, and he writes The Stranger because The Stranger was his last shot. Columbia Records was going to drop him if he didn't get a hit off The Stranger. So The Stranger takes off, and then 52nd Street is the next album. But I think that he got into a groove of writing. He really got into, he really hit his peak writing those songs, and he was lucky enough to maintain it for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Phil Ramone was your producer, right?
Yes.
But I understand that prior to Phil Ramone, you guys had an opportunity to work with, or at least Billy did, and that's what you're in that equation, had the opportunity possibly to work with Sir George Martin.
Yes. So
it didn't happen.
He came to see us play live, and he came back. Billy went to meet him after the show, and we were all waiting, and he told Billy, he goes, I really like you and I want to produce your album, but I want to use studio musicians. And Billy said, love me, love my band, and then he came back and we were all excited. So what did he say? What did he say? What did he say? And then it was like, this is George Martin, the guy that produced the Beatles, So Billy tells us, he says, George Martin, he wants to produce me, but he wants to use studio musicians. And we were all like, forget him. What does he know? He sings America. What have they done, So
but that's got to be, I mean, really, at some point, maybe you were all joking about it, but at some point, you got to look in the mirror and go, holy crap, what did I just do? Did I just, make a serious career move that wasn't a good one? I mean, that's pretty bold.
Well, it was a bummer, and then later on in Billy's career, George Martin told Billy that it was like the biggest mistake he made.
Oh, really?
Huh.
Great. Well, that's great that Billy supported the band like that,
Oh, that was amazing. Yeah, that's what the book kind of is about. Like, how did it go from that and the feeling of get the hell out of my dressing room,
Yeah, right.
Well, you know what? Why don't we let's touch on that since you brought it up, because I think it's really interesting. Obviously, these relationships that happen in rock and roll, up and down, things happen, family issues, lawsuits, legal crap. A lot of people don't like to talk about it, and a lot of people go to the graves, separated. But you had your challenge, but then you made up. So if you don't mind, take us down that road. How did it start happening when the sourness, started happening?
Well, I think when Billy got screwed by his management, he took a lot of money from Billy, and Billy told me, he goes, if he took a couple of 1 million, that would have been fine, but he kept taking more and more and more and more. So the more money that Billy was losing, he had to take stuff back from us. Like we were getting a percentage of the gross on gigs, and he had to take that back and put us on salary.
Wow.
Our royalties were written in as bonuses instead of a royalty. Royalty goes on forever. A bonus can be ended anytime they decide it ends. So he took that back, so it's sour then. And Billy was under a lot of pressure because the Stormfront tour, when we went on the Stormfront tour, he was in the red. He didn't have any money, and he had to borrow money to go on the tour.
So it was a financial situation, because the common thought was out there was musical differences, but it really wasn't. It was more of a financial thing.
Yeah, every band, it's always musical differences when they break up, right? Carmine, I'm sure it's musical differences.
Yeah.
It's always, the Rascals, musical difference.
Except for Rod Stewart.
Musical differences, that's a good line to use.
Yeah.
But no, it's like Billy also likes to change with every album. If you listen to every album, he changes. There's The Stranger, then 52nd Street was more jazzy, and then Glass Houses was just the band, more rocky, and then Nylon Curtain was the tip of the hat to the Beatles. So he liked to change. And by the time it got to the point where I was the only thing that hadn't changed in 30 years. So he wanted to rush it,
Wow.
Just the way it went down was bad,
Did you see the writing on the wall? Did it just kind of slap you in the face?
Oh God, slapped me in the face. It was a shock.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was not good.
I remember you calling me when it happens. Man, what do I do now?
Right, and I read the letter, right? I read you the letter that I wrote.
Yeah.
So you actually wrote him a letter?
I did. I wrote him a letter to say, like, I don't understand what happened. What's going on? I've been there for you, loyal. And at the end I said, whatever you want, man. I love you, And,
Did you get a response?
No, nothing.
Nothing until how many years later was it? I think you reached out to him for burying the hatchet situation.
Well, it wasn't until I wrote this book, and I kind of, the book is kind of like looking at things. I'm older now, and I can kind of understand why things happen. I know Carmine was in a band that he was part of a band, and that's a lot of pressure when you have to do the next album. You guys got to figure out what's going on, and it's a lot of pressure. And if somebody is like gnawing at you about, like, let's go on the road, let's do something, you're like, come on, man, leave me alone for a second. So I think Billy was under a lot of pressure by the time it was time for me to go. You know.
But it wasn't just you. It was there other guys, or were you the very last original?
I'm the last original.
Wow.
Last man standing, right?
That was it. The great part is that other than playing Residence Madison Square Garden, he really hasn't done anything since I left.
So, so his success is pretty much due to you, I would say.
Well, when you don't have the book, do you? You just have that.
No, I just I can't wait to get an autographed copy.
Well, in the forward is amazing what he wrote.
So how did you? Okay, so take me down that road, the forward. I mean, so you had not really spoken to him prior to the book. You're saying
15 years.
So he didn't really chime in on the book. Well,
No.
the writing I'm talking about in the writing part.
No, he wasn't at all. It was just me writing down my thoughts and my memories.
And he read the book, and he's okay with it.
Well, what happened was I was laying in bed. I had a knee operation. I had a knee replacement, my right knee. And you think your life is over when you can barely walk, and if I ever going to play drums again. And I started to get really depressed and think about all the mistakes maybe I made and what I should have done in my life and stuff like that. And I thought, this battle between drums and piano has gone on long enough. So I sent him an email, and I said, it's time to bury the hatchet. It should be over. And he wrote me back. He goes, I was dissatisfied with how it ended myself. And yeah, I'd love to have coffee with you or meet you for a meal or something. And we made arrangements. And it was then that we started to talk. We didn't talk anything about music. We didn't talk anything about what happened. We just talked about what it's like to have young children now. My youngest daughter is 3 years old. He has 2. One is 4. One is 2 years old. And it was a great thing to talk about. It's like I was talking to my old friend again.
Wow.
So it was during that time that I asked him, "What are you doing?" And he told me what his plans were for the future. And then he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, by the way, I'm writing a book. How would you like to write the forward?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it."
But but did you share? I mean, you could have been a real jerk in the book to him too. I mean, did you share what was in there before he did it, or did you do it sight unseen?
No, I sent it to him.
Okay.
And he sent it back, and he said, "Wow, that's better than the book that I was writing." He wrote a book too, and he got a couple of $1 million to write the book, but the publisher wanted more dirt, and he didn't want to do that, and he gave him back the money.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interesting story in and of itself.
Yeah, Vinny, wouldn't that be nice to get back the money? Boy, I wish I had that much.
You should have made some dirt. Make some dirt up. Make some stuff up.
Yeah, $2 million for it.
Yeah. No,
So you're going through this. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, this is good because I went to Hudson Music to publish it. They're really a drum book company, but they're doing bios now, and it's a perfect audience for me. I'm a drummer. Their audience is drums. There's a lot of fans that wanted to know what happened with me and Billy, and so it's doing pretty well.
You spoke to earlier. You mentioned Dino Danelli with the Young Rascals, of course.
That looks like a mugshot.
It was.
You look like Keith Richards there. Wow, tough.
On a good day.
Good day.
Did you ever have an opportunity to spend a little time with Dino and talk about how he was one of your idols?
Oh yeah, I did a modern drummer. What I did with
I
Carmine.
remember that.
The big red chair.
Yeah, you sat down with us.
Yeah, in the cutting room.
He was the interviewer.
Yeah,
Really?
I interviewed Carmine. I interviewed Dean.
So what was something?
I looked up to Dino too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so why?
Dino's.
Why? What is it about Dino Danelli that was so, inspired? Look at the 3 of the greatest drummers in history. One guy inspired him. What was it about him?
Carmine, go.
Showmanship. He had the groove. He had the groove. He had a killer groove all the time.
He had the attitude.
The attitude. He looked great. And
Yeah.
what I remember, probably even before Liberty, I met him before he was in the Rascals. I met him when he was opening up at the Metropole for Gene Krupa. And he had a 24-inch bass drum. And he had this groove with, you know, as drummers would say, 8 notes on the right hand and the left hand. It was like boom, boom, gaka, boom, boom, gaka. And then it went boom, ga, boom, boom, bapa, boom, ga, boom. And I was young enough where I wasn't 18. I had to use my older brother's proof to get in there.
Right.
And when I heard that, he came off the stage and he was walking around. And I went up to him and said, "Hey, Dino, how you doing? You know, that was awesome. What a great groove. What was that groove?" And he wrote it out for me, you know?
Yeah.
And then I said, "The bass drum sounds so good. How did you get it to sound so good?" He told me he's got ripped up newspaper in the bass drum. So I've been doing that since 1966 with the pigeons.
Yeah.
And before I had the ripped up newspaper in my bass drum.
Yeah.
And it just sounds great. Unlike Vinny that has nothing in his bass drum.
My father was pissed off because he looked forward to coming home from work and reading the goddamn newspaper. Where's the newspaper?
What happened to the newspaper?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I saw Dino when I saw the Rascals. It was one of the first times I actually took my eyes off the lead singer and looked at the drummer because he was so amazing.
Where did you see him?
At the Island Garden Arena.
With us.
The Rascals opened up for the Birds.
Oh, because we played there with the Vagrants, Vanilla Fudge, and the Rascals. I saw them play the Rascals at the phone booth before they made it.
Oh, wow.
Because they were like the cool band going around New York. You know, when that had like the Vagrants, you know, they had no record out, but they were drawing people everywhere. That's what the Rascals were. And they were wearing the silly outfits, you know. and Dino was just a freaking monster because, you know, they had no bass player. So
Right.
having the left-hand bass leaves it wide open for drums to, you know, to open up. And he was just awesome.
Awesome.
You know? Yeah.
Awesome.
You think they're one of the first bands to do that with no bass?
The Rascals?
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the first bands.
Yeah, they had no bass. The Doors had no bass.
The Doors, yeah, the Doors.
But the Rascals were funkier. I mean, the Rascals were like, they were totally New York, you know?
That drum set
Yeah.
that you saw him play, he said that he got that drum set from Cozy Cole.
I would believe it. Because he was playing the Metropole before all that, with Gene Krupa, Cozy Cole, all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I guess that's what Bonham could say about the kid I got him. That time. But he never said it.
Did you say he opened for Krupa? Herb?
Yeah. Gene Krupa was playing the Metropole. That was like a nightclub, which is way down for him on his career. But, you know, he was like probably 62, 63 years old and still playing. And that's where he ended up in his career after. My mother used to tell me they used to go see him at the Brooklyn Paramount and New York City Paramount, and he'd have him dancing in the aisles, and the place was packed. That's what started me. You know, when I started playing drums, my first album was Krupa and Rich, you know? And my mother used to tell me about Gene Krupa. And then when the Gene Krupa story came out, I know you love that one too. Right? Yeah. That was like my go-to movie.
Salminio.
Yeah, Salminio. I knew every beat. I had the soundtrack. I ended up, when I was old, I got the VHS. I turned Vinny onto it. You know, it was like.
Yeah, what a great movie.
A great movie, great drumming. And Sal did a great job miming, as we all know.
Right.
I mean, I got to do a video. I showed Vinny my new setup. I've had to put a black screen behind my drums in the guest house here. I actually just sat down and wrote out some of my drum parts, because when I played, like on my Guitars record, I just played. I don't know what I played. I never thought about a video back then. But I'm writing the parts out. So just what I did was nothing compared to what Sal Mineo had to do. You know? some of those solos, diddle, 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 boom, boom, boom.
He actually played them?
No, he mimed it.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is
You still have
hard.
Yeah, that's hard.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I can't even mind myself.
That's what I'm saying. I can't mind myself either. I'm writing it out. I'm writing out what I did, so I somewhat hit the drums when they're supposed to be hit.
Well, my question to you, Carmine, has always been you keep me hanging on. There's that one part that any other drummer would go da 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 da. You go ba 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 ba, and there's like an extra note in there. Is there an extra beat in there? An extra note or something?
Yeah, I showed him that, Liberty. That one note.
Liberty, the greatest thing about that track was it was a one-take mono. First take, everything. Straight to tape.
Unbelievable.
I mean, you could hear when he's doing do. I didn't have a stick bag. Nobody had stick bags there.
No.
I had the sticks on the bass drum, and one of them fell off. And if you listen hard, you could hear it, the stick falling off the bass drum.
Yeah. That was done in ultrasonic, right?
No, that was done at Mirror Sound in New York.
Oh, I thought it was ultrasonic.
The rest of it was done at ultrasonic. The rest of the album, the first album. But like I said, Shadow Morton took us in, and we just did what we did live. We played it live, right to mono tape, and that was the demo that became the single.
So
Still
great.
today, we re-recut it about 2 or 3 years ago, and we have a stereo version of it. But up until then, the only version of that song by us is mono.
So great. So Shadow Morton took the New Rock Workshop into the studio.
Oh,
The headphones, Ticket to Ride, as loud as he possibly could. You guys are going to sound like this. I think he was pissed off at you or something of the fudge.
yeah. Well, after that second album, we should have been pissed off at him.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Horrible. Right? He ruined our career. That guy. I mean, he didn't do that great of a job as a producer, other than, he put us in the studio. But any good engineer and somebody in the studio could have done it. He didn't come up and go, "Hey, you guys sing this here. You guys." We just did our stage act.
Right.
Pretty much.
You sounded just like you did live.
It was more of a recording engineer.
Yeah, and we had a recording engineer as well. But the second album, That Beat Goes On, was a freaking nightmare. When we were doing it, he wouldn't even let us all know what we're doing. We're just following his direction because he's supposed to be the big producer. And it was the worst album I've ever been on, and it ruined our career totally.
Yeah.
You guys have all played, the biggest houses. As a venue owner, I have a question. My personal question to you guys. I mean, Wembley, Royal Albert Hall, Carnegie Hall, of course, all these big ones. The question to all you guys: was there a favorite one of those big monster places that you guys really, just really took you back to, just put yourself beside yourself to play?
Madison Square Garden, man.
Madison Square Garden. Me too.
Really? You too, Liberty? That's your number one?
My yearbook, people wrote keep practicing. One day you'll play Madison Square Garden.
My yearbook said keep banging those drums and maybe you'll make it.
Yeah.
Well, Vinny never had a yearbook.
I left. I left early.
So
Maybe I'll get one.
Is that more of a New York thing, the Madison Square Garden thing? Like you grow up and
Yeah.
No, I think
If you grow up in LA, you want to play the Forum.
Everybody.
Not a Staples Center,
everybody wants to play the Garden. Yeah, we want to play the Barclays Center.
Yeah, right?
but you're talking about Wembley. You're talking about Royal Albert Hall. I mean, some of these monster places that have such history.
But you're from New York. I used to go to the circus. We went to the circus there, I mean, you've seen so many acts. Play Madison Square. I did it with Rod 5 nights in a row. I know Billy does it 5 months in a row. But we did 5 nights in a row back in those days. That was like unheard of,
Yeah.
And we did 6 nights at the Forum. One night we would have tied Led Zeppelin, but Rob was afraid to do it.
Wow.
New York, at the time when the Fudge was big and then when Billy was big, was the center of the world, the world.
But Madison Square Garden wasn't happening yet for bands at that time. Maybe Frank Sinatra,
Right.
But the gigs were the Fillmore East.
Right.
And you did 4 shows at the Fillmore East. It was like 11, 12,000 people. Or you played Westbury Music Fair out in Long Island.
I saw you play there. Play.
Yeah.
You guys played with the Fifth Dimension.
That's right.
Wow.
I was there too. I remember that.
Yeah.
Up and away.
Up and away. We also did Boston.
Wow.
Boston Armory with them.
Wow.
We became good friends with them, actually. Yeah. A couple of the weirdest things we did a gig in Seattle with Sonny and Cher, and there was a body of water, a beach, a body of water, and then like a pier, and we had the stage on the pier, so there's a body of water in between us, and it was kind of weird with Sonny and Cher. A totally different order. And the Mamas and the Papas was the first gig we ever did on the West Coast, and they were booing us off the stage. And Mark Stein.
Really?
Mark Stein said, "Look, we flew 3,000 miles to do this gig. We're going to do it whether you like it or not." So by the end of it, we got them all standing and applauding.
Well, when a bunch of New Yorkers invade Laurel Canyonites, it had to be a culture shock.
Oh, unbelievable.
Right.
So you're mentioning, you think of the Fudge, you think of, your heavyweight rock and rollers, and you just brought up Sonny and Cher, which, also iconic in their way, of course. Lip, you've got such besides Billy Joel, you've got such a roster of people that you played with. And one in particular really interested me, and I'd like to know a little bit about your experience with Karen Carpenter.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Oh my God.
You didn't know that?
No.
Yeah.
I like Karen Carpenter.
I saw you
Me
play
too.
with Ronnie Spector. I saw you play "Be My Baby."
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
Hal Blaine.
with Hal Blaine, when he came up in the wheelchair, came off the wheelchair right on the drums.
That was the last live performance that he did.
And that was cold that night.
It was cold. It
Yeah.
was cold.
Yeah.
But Karen Carpenter. We did her solo album when she was trying to get away from that Carpenter's thing, and her brother didn't like it, so they shelved it for 10 years. I mean, she was singing about making love in the afternoon, and remember, let's make believe it's our first time. All those songs like that. And he was afraid that it was going to affect their apple pie image. So they kind of shoved it. And the New York Times Magazine said that Phil Ramone had hired some of Billy Joel's hoodlums to play with Karen Carpenter.
Oh, great.
But it was hilarious. I mean, she was
The
great.
Times wasn't very far off.
She was fantastic.
She didn't play drums. She obviously didn't play drums.
She didn't play drums.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
and
that's where I'm going.
You must have kicked her ass, Lip.
Yeah, she was great. She had a great sense of humor.
Well, that's where I'm kind of going with this.
I've got some great pictures of me and her. With a birthday cake that one from the erotic baker that Phil Ramone got me on my birthday.
Is it in your book picture?
No, that picture's not in the book. No.
Oh, it should be.
There's the dirt right there.
So was there did you feel any level of intimidation?
Take her by her face, it's a big penis, and she goes, "Oh, I've never been that close to one of these."
Did you feel any sense of, just interpretation or intimidation? Because obviously, not only is she a big star and all that stuff, but she's a drummer. Did you feel any?
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah. No. The only time I ever got nervous in the studio was with Paul McCartney. That was the only time.
What did you do with him in the studio?
Huh?
What did you do with Paul in the studio?
We recorded 2 songs, and I think they're on this new album that's coming out. They just did another box of stuff, demos, and all kinds of things like that. And I think he put it on there.
Did you get the check?
You know what? I still have a photocopy somewhere of the check.
No, to the upcoming album, I mean.
Oh, from the upcoming? No, not yet, but I will.
Okay.
He sent us a photo of him, like, one of these kind of photos, and it says, "To Liberty, thank you, Paul McCartney."
That doesn't suck.
No, that's good.
No,
Nice.
it was cool. I mean, what
Did
it's
you
like.
put that in your book?
You play with Ozzy, and you're playing, and then you hear this voice come through the monitors, and you look up and you go like, "Wow, that's the guy I've been listening to all those years." Well, It was like that with Paul. If you have your headphones on.
Yeah, Vinny went through that too with John Lennon. You went.
I played with John Lennon.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
Freaky, right?
Sorry, guys, I never did that. I used to hear Rod Stewart in mine.
Yeah, Rod. Yeah, not too good.
Did you have any of that with Ozzy, Vin?
No, because I had to pay attention so they didn't throw water on me.
Oh, I got you.
You never know. You never know when the bucket of water is coming over. Woohoo!
I had that with Ozzy when we were producing the Bark at the Moon. He was wasn't in the can, but he was in the studio and I was in the control room with Tony Bongiovi. We were like, I was hired, and not only as the drummer at the time, I was supposed to help the drum sound and help finish the album because it wasn't finished. And Sharon left Ozzy in my custody, which I couldn't believe.
Wow.
And I used to have to get him to the, and we'd be walking from the hotel to the hip factory, because it was like 2 blocks, so we'd walk there. And Ozzy, in those days in the early 80s, New York wasn't very safe. He's got all his diamond rings on and shit, And I'm saying, hey, Oz, why don't you take those off while we're walking,
Yeah.
I mean, you can get mugged out here. He said, no way. It was hilarious, but hearing him in the studio, come on. I said, what? And then we would do one or 2 words at a time in the vocals, swear to God.
Really?
Yeah.
I can see that. We can see that. Hey, Lib, there seems to be a little bit of a maybe you can address this for actually me personally. One of my favorite songs, Scenes from Italian Restaurant, but it seems to be a cloud of unknown. Like, was it actually about an actual restaurant? How did that song come to be? Do you know the background of that song?
Yeah. The waiter at this place called Fontana di Trevi, which was across the street from Carnegie Hall, came up to Billy. Was in there with his first wife, and the waiter came up and he said, "Bottle of white, bottle of red, whatever mood you're in tonight," something like that. And Billy took that lyric and started the song with that. But it's about people that he knew in the past. I don't know if there really was a Brenda and Eddie, but it was about like how in school the kid that was really good looking and really great at sports, when he got older, he got not so good looking, and he was not good anymore at playing anything. Or the girl who was beautiful in high school, now she's fat, and it's like that kind of song.
Interesting. So you've got Phil Ramone apparently coined the name of you hoodlums, as you finally referred to yourselves prior. But the Lords of Flatbush, Lords of 52nd Street,
Yes.
Phil Ramone coined that. So you went back to that, and that's the name of your current band.
Okay, well, you're ready for this again. This man right here with it scratching his ear right now. Well, I sat with him, and he told me about this thing he was doing with the Rod Stewart.
Right, the Rod Experience.
Right, the Rod Experience. And he said to me, we're having breakfast, we're eating omelets or something like that. And he says to me, you should get some of the guys from the band and get together and do that. And I said, I don't know if I want to play that music anymore. I'm done with that. It was back when I was still angry. And he was like, no, man, everybody's doing your stuff. You might as well do it and make money at it. You can make so much money. He's the reason why we're doing it.
And he's making more money than I ever did at it.
Well, make sure do you have Carmine's address, his new address to send the check?
Yeah.
It's a Florida address now. Just so you know.
No, that's 2 times I interfered with his career.
That is
Crazy. Hey, Carm, you got to tell our audience out there the origin, of all the things that you've done in your life. It's amazing, all the stuff that you've accomplished. But a big question right now, what's the origin of that big boy behind you?
Yeah.
The big boy. Well, that actually, my girlfriend Leslie bought that. I forgot where we were. I think we were in California. We had it in our house in California. And then we sold the house and we brought it to Connecticut where we had the house. Now we just moved down here to Florida and we didn't know where we were going to put it. So there was a perfect place right there on the corner, of the office where it looks out on two windows.
Yeah.
And actually there was right across the canal. There's a canal over there. I don't know if you can see that canal there.
Oh, it's beautiful.
All right. And then there's an old golf course over there. And people walk over there. And I remember one night we had the lights on, people walking and they stopped and they started pointing to the big boy and putting their hands up like that, like the hamburger. And, so I'm over there giving them the up sound.
How come the big boy's not wearing a mask?
Neither am I.
Are you talking about Vinny or the statue?
The big boy. The big boy. He's on lockdown.
Oh, there you go, the big boy. Oh, I thought Carm said that.
We're all on lockdown. Everyone's on lockdown except Lib. They're not on lockdown anymore in New York, are they?
No, we can go to restaurants, but outside. You can't even go to restaurants.
Yeah, here too in California. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Here too, but they have a curfew now over here because everybody was out at the beaches and partying and like nothing's going on. Hey,
Lib, going back to the legends. I'm sorry, I don't know why I can't get it. The Lords of 2nd Street. Did you ever get any correspondence or anything from the Billy camp about that?
No, Billy gave us his blessing to be able to call ourselves Billy Joel's original band.
Wow.
Said,
I hopefully,
great.
Hopefully, I'll be honored to host you guys in Chicago. I'm very excited about it.
You'll like them. You'll like them. They're really good. The guy that does Billy is awesome. I don't know about the drummer though.
Yeah, okay. When I saw,
I'm gonna get a Karen Carpenter impersonator to play the drums in that band.
When I saw Billy, when I saw him, I said, we do the Lords of 52nd Street. He goes, I know, I keep getting these reviews and papers. You guys are doing great. So he
That's
says,
very generous of him.
Yeah, it is.
Says, the more you do, the better I am. It's good for me.
Well, he's smart. A lot of people, a lot of these entertainers don't feel that way. They're so freaking greedy. They don't allow that. So
I never got anything like that from Rod, even though when I send him emails, I got on there, rodexperience.com. So, I mean, he probably knows about it.
Right.
But he wrote the intro to my book too. And he fired me. And then he said, I fired Carmine. He says, fuck knows why. And I thought I got a kick out of that because I think it was, they were doing a little too much drinking and drugging and stuff in those days,
Yeah. You see, that's what I'm talking about in the book. It's like now you see it in a whole different thing. You know why things happen.
Yeah.
You know the mistakes you made, and if you can go back, you could fix it, but you can't go back. So you have to fix what you can.
Vinny's last in line is different because Ronnie passed away, and that's more like a celebration.
Yeah.
Of Ronnie, you don't have to.
Yeah, great band. Oh my gosh, I got to say, Vinny, thank you for bringing Last in Line to my place, and people in Chicago love it, love it. And then we're looking forward to having you back. Looking forward to have Carmine back with Cactus and the Fudge, with Robbie Krieger coming up, hopefully. Just very, very excited. Hey, Liberty, let's take a little bit of a turn here, because I'm personally, being in Chicago, loving Chicago Med, loving your daughter Tori, who stars in that. How's she doing? She lives in Chicago, you said?
She's got a place in Chicago because they film it there. So you have to get a place. She lives there like 8 months out of the year, And so I go visit her sometimes. I'll look you up when I go.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Is she? How much have you? Did you help her? I mean, it looks like I've done a lot of research on her, especially for this. And her career. She's been in a lot of films. She's done a lot of work. And were you supportive of her as an actor in the beginning?
Oh yeah. She first started playing violin, and she was a model. She was Christy Brinkley gave a Polaroid to the Ford modeling agency in New York of Tori, and they hired her for I think it was Chicago and Miami Ford agencies there, and she was doing modeling, and then she did this a little bit of acting. She took some lessons, and she decided that she wanted to. If she was going to become famous, she wanted it to be for something she did, not just for something she looks like, So she headed out to L.A. I know Carmine's daughter did the same thing. They head out to L.A. and they always welcome back if they flop. But it just so happened that she became successful. Like Carmine's daughter's doing some great stuff too out there, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She's doing the makeup, special effects makeup. It's all dead now. Probably her show too.
Well, Tori hasn't worked since March.
Yeah, same with mine. My daughter did a reality show over the weekend for the first time since March.
Yeah.
So they're coming back, but now they all have to take it. Oh yeah, she did my makeup there. They have to take a test now, and if they got to be negative, then her as the makeup artist has to wear a mask and the face plate as well as gloves. And then all the actors, everyone that's doing the show has to take a test. Like if they do a thing for a week, they have to take a test 2 weeks after that for the 14-day quarantine. Crazy.
You brought up Christy, and that's interesting to me as well. So Christy's with Billy. She's hanging around. She notices your daughter, and that kind of helped your daughter give her at least a direction, the path. But when Christy first started coming around, what did the guys feel about her? They think this is going to be a one and done? Or is this going to be a quick thing?
Well, the first time she came, we were doing the album Innocent Man, and she came to the show, and I remember we all showed up with really nice, neat clothes on, we knew she was, and then Billy came in, and he said to us, why are you guys dressed like that? And Russell Javers, the guitar player, said, because my tux is in the cleaners.
Good one.
Yeah, we were very, very impressed when she came out. And I remember telling him, I said, you need to marry this girl.
Yeah. I know the feeling.
Again.
I know the feeling because when we were with Rod, he was with Britt Eklund.
Oh, God, yeah.
And Britt, that was when she was just in a lot of movies and stuff. And we were all like star-studded when seeing her. Becoming friends with her was pretty wild.
Did Britt or did Christy? Did these ladies, by virtue of their insane beauty and their fame and their stature, did you guys feel that they changed Rod or Billy in any way? Was it like you went from one of the guys to just kind of did it change him at all?
Well, from what I understand, Britt changed Rod and all his tastes. Like he was Gallet lamps and certain kinds of frames and what do they call it? Art Nouveau. I have the table in New York City that Rod gave me. It was an Art Nouveau coffee table. He had the whole house done like that.
Wow.
She definitely changed that on him.
I think one of the problems that they had was Billy didn't change. Billy stayed. Billy used to call him Joe, as if to say like he was just an average Joe.
Right.
So that's the way Billy was. I remember going there for Thanksgiving, and Christy was a vegetarian, but she cooked a turkey for everybody, and they're like he's saying like, oh, how can you guys eat that? And I would just say like, oh, I love birds. properly cooked like this, it's delicious. Really be laughing, but he was just a regular guy all the time.
And you hear about that. I mean, he's got this persona, a real like a neighborhood guy. I mean, did he maintain that? Did you guys hang very much even into when the huge fame started happening? Did he remain like a neighborhood guy, a guy you could just go out to grab a couple of beef sandwiches with?
Well, we used to spend, our family and his family used to spend every Thanksgiving together.
Wow.
He lived in Amagansett. We were in Kings Park on Long Island. And we would go out and just hang out, stay overnight and stuff. Yeah, it was great.
So I asked our guests, I asked the two brothers down there also, and they know I asked this question to everybody on the show here. You've performed all over the world for kings and queens and presidents and been doing it for a long, long time. I'm sure you've gotten some gifts or a piece of memorabilia from one of your shows, maybe from Billy. What is your favorite or most important thing to you that you hold near and dear to your heart that if your place was on fire, you'd grab on the way out?
Gee.
Everybody says that.
I guess it would be that, I got Ringo's autograph on drumsticks and Pete Best's autograph on drumsticks.
Yeah.
I got both of them, yeah.
Well, both of you have drumsticks, Vinny and you.
I got John Bonham's drumsticks.
Oh, wow.
One drumstick, not autographs. Just says John Bonham on it.
You know what I got? I got Vinny and Carmine drumsticks, and that's all I
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have drumsticks. I got a letter from Fred Astaire after I gave him one of my drum books that Gregory Peck gave it to him from me.
Wow.
And because he's a drummer and he wanted to learn to play rock drums. And I gave him the book, and I got a letter back that I couldn't believe it when I got it. I said, "Oh my God!"
Did you see that video of Fred Astaire in his bedroom?
Playing all the drums? Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So great.
Yeah.
You actually played them?
Yeah, he's a decent drummer.
He's a drummer, yeah.
Yeah.
I got him. He's in my book as the only two drum solos that I like. One was Buddy Rich playing with the Muppets, and the other one is Fred Astaire.
Don't even talk about that. Did I ever tell you that story?
Oh, let's talk about that. That's what we're here for.
Okay, well, I came back from Australia, and my friends over there said, "Hey, we saw you on TV." I said, "With Rod?" I said, "No, with the Muppets." I said, "The Muppets? What's that?" I never watched TV. So they showed me Animal playing drums, and they said, "That's you." And when I looked at it, I said, "Wow, that does look like me." I had the long black hair at the time, and I had all the toms everywhere and the cymbals.
Right.
So I went back. I told my manager, Alan Miller. I said, "Alan, I want to challenge this Muppet thing to a drum battle." So he said, "Okay." So he calls up Jensen. I guess was it Jensen?
Henson, Jim Henson.
Jim Henson, yeah. He calls up their studio up, and they tell him the idea, and tells him the idea, and then he said, "Oh, we'll get back to you." And because he said, "I think your persona of Animal is sort of based after my artist that plays with Rod Stewart, blah, blah, blah." So they will get back to you. So they call back and they go, "Got good news and bad news." "What's the good news?" "We love your idea. We're definitely going to do it." "What's the bad news?" "We're going to use Buddy Rich."
Oh, man.
So I called up Buddy Rich, who was my friend at the time. I called him and I said, "I heard you doing the Muppets." He says, "How do you know?" I said, "Because it was my idea and I wanted to do it." He goes, "They wanted the best."
So oh my God, you mean to tell me that your Animal, like that's who they patterned it after? I can see it now.
I mean, that's who my friends in Australia thought they did, and my manager thought they did. They never owned up to it, but they didn't say no,
Wow. But I can see
if you
it.
look at it, I mean, of all the drummers back in those days,
Sure.
I'm the guy that had the wild black hair with all the toms everywhere and the cymbals and the gongs and everything. And I'm over there like this,
Right.
I'm going with it.
I'll go with it.
Might as well.
But that story was so funny when Buddy said they wanted the best. I said, you know,
He's so sincere.
But he did a great.
If you got to be second best and you're second best to Buddy Rich, I guess that's not a bad thing.
No,
Not at all.
So, Liv, we talked a little bit earlier about Karen Carpenter. Again, you played with such a roster of performers, though. Is there anybody else that just really you sat back in the throne and that person really impressed you as a professional?
Let me think. I don't know. There was a lot of them, a lot of different ones.
Right.
John Hyatt was I was very impressed by him, the way he handled himself in the studio. Stevie Nicks was actually good until she got really high and kind of forgot where she was.
Yeah, we know that one.
She was really good. Who else? Meatloaf. When Meatloaf put together a band, it was myself, Davy Johnstone. I think I forgot who else played, but he put together a good band. And then he got Cher to sing on the song. But
wow, that's awesome.
Not there. You record the basic track, and then you.
Oh, true.
So
I gotta ask you. There's a lot of hats you can wear these days. You're wearing a NASA hat, which I think is awesome. Is it your celebration of the recent launch?
No, I wear this because I'm out of this world.
Okay.
And Vinny, what about your hat, Vin?
No, it's just black.
No.
I was just sleeping before this. I got up. Oh shit! It's almost 4 o'clock. Let me put the hat on.
I was going to wear my Florida fedora, but I knew Vinny would bust my balls if I did, so I didn't wear it.
Got the pink shirt and everything.
Yeah.
So are you guys? Are the Lords of 52nd Street? Are they still touring?
Well, since the thing stopped, but we still have a gig on the books for July 15th on Long Island.
Where at?
The Wounded Warriors. It's at Tanner Park.
Oh, yeah, at the park, yeah.
Yeah, so
that may happen,
Yeah.
We had Danny Seraphine on a couple of weeks ago. Or was it last week?
Last week.
2 weeks.
Last week.
No, last week was Slim Jim. And
That's right. That's
and
right.
He said he was doing a gig in Florida on a stage where they could house 1,000 golf carts, and everybody would come to the gig in a golf cart. And that was still on the books.
I understand that in the parks they have it so you can be in your car and you can hear it on the radio.
Yeah.
When you play.
Yeah, right.
That's right. That's drive-ins too.
Drive-in movie style.
Drive-in movies might be bringing back the old days. They used to, in the days of like Alan Freed and all that, they'd show a movie and then have the rock and roll show. This might be the same thing now. You go to a show and then they show a movie.
Well, you know what? It's history repeating itself. In the 20s, it started with vaudeville. They used to have a film. That's my theater opened up in 1926.
Hey, there you go, Ron. You got to buy a drive-in now.
I'm going to build one soon, and you're going to open it there, brother.
You got it.
Well, I just want to once again, I got to thank Vinny Appice, Carmine Appice, our special guest this week, Liberty DeVitto, Liberatori DeVitto.
This is the mafia this week.
I love that. I know the Meatball Mafia, we'll call it. All right.
Yeah.
But the book comes out. I'm very excited. It comes out July 17th. You can pre-order it on Amazon all over the place. It's called Liberty, Life, Billy, and the Pursuit of Happiness, right?
And on HudsonMusic.com, you can order it there too.
Beautiful. I love that. We love that picture. We're going to love the book. Liberty, please stay safe. All you guys. Love you very much. Thank you for being so iconic. And having, as we saw just by this conversation alone, just how many lives, it's immeasurable. All three of you have touched people's careers, the fans. It's just amazing to be an honor for me to be in your presence. I love you guys. I wish you health and safety. And everybody out there, please like this, share it. We're going to keep it going with these legends, with these icons. Hanging and Banging, Artists on Lockdown. Share it right now. Want to thank Ben Wheeler, our producer, Steve Love, who our executive producer is, and everybody else out there who's supporting us. Liberty DeVitto, God bless you, man. We'll see you on the road.
Thank you so much, Carmine. You're the best. Vinny,
You too, man. I'll talk to you this week.
All right. Call
Okay,
me.
bro. All right, man.
You guys
See you
take care.
guys.
Take care.
Bye, Liv.
Bye.
Bye, Ron.
Bye, guys.
Bye.